Welcome back to the channel. The 12th Man Podcast returns. They catch up on all the weekend activities. Of course, there was a full match round of Premier League football. Of course, the big talking points fell in yesterday's game where Spurs beat Manchester United quite convincingly at Old Trafford. We're also going to be looking back at the rest of the weekend's games, including ones for Liverpool and Arsenal. Are Liverpool realistic contenders this season? Are Arsenal now the new favourites for the Premier League with Man City dropping points and Rodri's injury? Everton got their first one of the season. Cole Palmer scored 4 first half goals, a record in the Premier League. We'll be asking if he is the best attacker in the Premier League at the moment. Owen, how have you been, sir? We'll finish off as well. Actually, we're talking about the Champions League and the Europa League, of course. But how have you been?
Not too bad. I was out on Saturday for my club's 10th birthday, so that was a good night. So I enjoyed that, and just watched the football end yesterday and chilled out.
I suppose coming on this, Spurs, United Spurs is obviously the big talking points from the weekend. Of course, a lot of talk today about Ten Hag. It sort of fell out of yesterday's game and only today, and we'll speak about that. But approaching this game, of course, some Spurs fans were nervous about going to Old Trafford because United are the type of team that can turn up on their day, as we've seen in the FA Cup final against Man City. They're the type of team that don't mind not having the ball and can hit you in a counter-attack and punish you, and Spurs is a team that can be got at. But I spoke to a lot of United fans pre-match, and they says they did not fancy United one bit, and they says the only way Spurs will lose this is if they aren't clinical. And well, they probably weren't as clinical as they should have been, but still comfortable winners. Owen, was that a surprise yesterday? What happened? I mean, Spurs going there and completely dominant from start to finish and winning out convincing winners.
No, not anymore. Like Old Trafford isn't the ground. Like teams don't go to Old Trafford now and say, "Oh no, we're playing United. We're running for a hiding here." They go to Old Trafford confident that they can get a result. I mean, we seen last season like Brighton got a result there. Fulham got a result there. I think Chelsea got a result there, did they? Bournemouth beat them 3-0 there last season. Liverpool should have beat them last season.
Time in Ten Hag's tenure that they've lost by 3 goals or more at home. Fourth time, sorry. It's the fourth time. And I mean, they put in this, Ferguson only lost 4 times by that scoreline. He was there for, 20 years?
I seen that last night. It was like over 1,000 games, like, and he only...
Well, Ten Hag's had 46 games at Old Trafford, and he's lost now 4 of them by 3 goals or more. And if you look at the defeats, the 3-0s to Spurs, Bournemouth, Liverpool this year as well. Liverpool have went there before and won by cricket scores, maybe not under Ten Hag, but against our managers, Villa, Brentford, all these results under Ten Hag have been pretty heavy defeats. Brighton, so they've had some real hammerings during Ten Hag's tenure. It's becoming a ground where teams now enjoy going, whereas before it was, you say, there was a fear factor going there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if I see a team going to Old Trafford, like normal years gone by, you would think, right, United at home, you would fancy them, but now you're going, no, this team, they're Porto. Are they away? They're away to Porto, aren't they? They're away to Porto, aren't they? Or are they home to Porto?
Yeah, away to Porto, yeah.
I think if I was the reverse of Porto or going to Old Trafford, Porto, I think would fancy their chances, and I think at the minute any team would fancy their chances going to Old Trafford. And I thought you could tell yesterday in the first, I know Spurs scored in the third minute, but you could tell straight away from the kickoff that United weren't up for it, and the goal.
Spurs sensed that United weren't at the races, and they went there, and obviously they've played well in our games this year, but it wasn't as they looked yesterday from minute one. It looked like Spurs went there confident, thinking they would win.
Spurs, it didn't look like, and this is going to sound mad, it didn't look like a Spurs Man United game. It looked like a Spurs Leicester sort of game where you expect Spurs to dominate and create chances. And that goal where Mickey Van Ven decided to become Usain Bolt, like, that was mental. But why, if I was Ten Hag there, I would be fuming. Why didn't one of his centre halves just kick him?
And he ran over 70 yards unchallenged, and obviously great run, but they have the quality at the end. They picked across it. It was Gareth Bale-esque. I mean, did we see? Sorry, go ahead.
If that was Liverpool, I'd be screaming at Van Dijk to take a chunk of him.
Did we see 2 teams yesterday going in 2 completely different directions? I know a lot of some media were saying yesterday it was a statement one for Spurs and a statement one for Ange, but Ange played that down and says, look, it's just 1-1. And we go into every game thinking we can win. But do we see two teams, two managers, two clubs yesterday going in two completely different directions? Like, did we see yesterday that despite Ange's frailties and the tactics can be mad at times, but there is something to build on there? And did we see the end of Ten Hag at Man United yesterday?
Well, I don't know if he'll get sacked in the next week or two, but I definitely think we're on the road there. Like, if he, as we'll speak about it, but if he goes to Porto and doesn't get a win, then goes to Villa on Sunday and doesn't get a win, like there's no. I know they're coming out today saying they're backing him, but if he doesn't get a result out of any of them two games, at least one of them, it could be the international break could be a very very interesting time for him and Man United, but who do you go to then? Because if I was a top manager, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Liverpool fan, if I was a top manager, I'd be going on there going, we've seen this before. A manager's got sacked. These players will give me 6 months of good play, and then once it goes to pot, they'll drop their heads, and we'll be back here in 2 to 3 years time. You've seen it with Solskjaer. They started well for 3 months under him. Ten Hag, they had a decent first season. Ragnick, they got a good 45 minutes out of them. So it's like, as much as Ten Hag is to blame, I think the players are just useless as well.
Yeah. And of course, it was Ange's first away one at a big six club, as they call it, where you can put United under that anymore. I don't know, but everybody seems to be going there and getting results. But how big of a one do you think was for Ange? Because there was some elements of the supporters, only going back 2 weeks ago after the North London derby, and it looked like they were going out of the Cup of Coventry. It looked like it was going to be an uphill battle for Ange with some of the fans, but they get the 2 late goals at Coventry, then they go and beat Brentford. They won the Europa League game despite being out of 10 men. They go to United and won very, very comfortably and put on a brilliant display. How big of a day is that in Ange's Spurs career, do you think?
It's hard to say, but it could be significant. You have to go and back it up now against who do you have at the weekend?
Brighton away next Sunday, 4:30.
That'll be a bigger test than United away. I know Brighton got a hammer on Saturday, but that'll be
because going to have to play a lot better than the other weekend. I tell you, because if they give Spurs that space, they could really hurt them.
That's what I mean. But then usually give Brighton the same sort of space as well. So it could be a basketball game, but I think it could be a big one. I know me and you banter back and forth with Ange and all that there, but he does seem to be getting a tune out of this players, and they really buy into what he's believing.
That was the main takeaway from yesterday. I seen one team that were well drilled, well coached, all on the same hymn sheet. Whether you think the tactics are crazy at times, they're all buying into it. They're enjoying it. Even the way they're celebrating, there's a lot of unity there. Even the stuff you see off the training pitch that hasn't been there for a number of years. The social side of it, the players look like they're all very together.
You seen even after the match that they went on their huddle and everything, and
yeah, and you seen the other side of it where United, where it just looked disjointed. At times they were pressing but not fully pressing. It was dropping deep, then it was counter. It didn't look like they had an idea. The players didn't look like they were enjoying it. Rashford had his shoulders shrugged again. The new signings have come in and had the same kind of, maybe Arlen Mazraoui, I think he has a better credit yesterday, but the lip just looks like an Harry Maguire type where he's going to United. It looks like it's going to be a graveyard for him. You see Sancho going to Chelsea and pulling up trees at the weekend. It just seems like a real dark place at the moment, Man United.
I'm not going to lie and say I'm not enjoying it because I am, but I've been there. Johnston plays for Wolves, I think, darn.
He have a great game.
But Johnson did that. I've seen it with Liverpool too. Like, mind the Roy Hodgson days, they were dark days. Like, so every team goes through it. You've had it with Conte and Mourinho. It wasn't that bad, but it was bad. Like, so I don't know. Like you seen yesterday, I'll use Zirkzee as an example. Every time he got the ball, he just looked like the ground was going to swallow him up. It looked like he had no confidence on the ball.
Two very different displays from the strikers in Zirkzee and Solanke. Solanke looks like he's been there a long time, and he seems to be really fitting under the Spurs side. Darren says he's type aware there. I mean, let's stick with Spurs a minute. We'll come back to Man United, but I mean, that's a performance now that Spurs are going to be marked down for. Have they set that standard for themselves now that they, if they fall short of that, That's the standard they've set now. It's no good, as you say, going to Brighton next week and getting rolled over. They have to go to Brighton and put on a similar type of display, get another good result, and then you can start to maybe believe more about it, because as good as they were, Spurs, we've seen Liverpool go to Old Trafford and do that this season. We've seen teams last year go and do that, so it's not a freak result in that way. It's not as if they've gone to Man City or Arsenal 1-3-0.
I was just going to say, I was just going to come on to that. As good as Spurs were yesterday, he's will not have an easier game all season. I know United were down to 10 men, but even with 11 men, you were swamping them. And as I said, from the moment the kickoff happened, Spurs, you heard Gary Neville say it, United players, they were passing, nobody, players were on the ball, they were looking like they didn't want to have the ball. And you know what? I thought up until Udogie went off, I thought he had a great game as well. I know he went off injured then, but I thought he had a great game. And to be fair, Spence was decent when he came on. I thought Van de Ven was excellent, and I thought Spurs overall just thoroughly deserved the win.
They dominated them on field as well. And you look at that Man United team, and I was kind of thinking before the game, if I was doing a combined 11, who would I have? And when you look at the two teams, you wouldn't say there's miles apart in level. If anything, Man City or Man United have more star-studded names in their team. So, is it down to the tactical? Is it down to the coach? Because those Spurs players yesterday played out of their skin. Players like Bentancur, who's not a natural 6, played brilliant in that role. Kulusevski's been moulded on the number 8, number 10 type of player away from the wing. Looks like a different player. Madison's back to his best. Johnson, who many had wrote off, has in a rich vein of form. Solanke, people question the price tag, but he's answering those critics. You look at that Spurs team and you think, how many of them would get into the Man United team on paper? Probably, you would say there's not much in it. You wouldn't be screaming at I can't see Man United screaming at the TV saying I want Kulusevski or I want Bentancur. But those players yesterday were levels ahead of where United players were. So, is it a coaching element? Is it the tactics? Is it the club itself? What do you put it down to? Why so many of these players at Man United are underperforming?
Probably a combination of all of them, because you can say it's the coach, but we've seen it. Haven't seen this. Me and Gareth just spoke about this earlier. One year ago today, the debacle of the Spurs Liverpool game happened.
What happened there again?
No, hopefully not. No, it's a combination of all three, because you say it's down to coaching, but they've had different coaches and it's been the same. So it's either the players.
Has it a lack of belief? Do you think? I remember watching the Sunderland documentary, and the new owners that come on there says that Sunderland needs to stop being a piss take party of free wage, and a free 3 points for opposing teams going to Sunderland.
Yeah.
As United going that way, obviously it's a different scale, but our team's going to Old Trafford and thinking, do you know what? I'm not sure these boys fancy it. We can go there and run riot, because any team losing that many games at home heavily, there's something seriously wrong. And this was happening on their alley as well in times where Liverpool were going there and hit them for 6.
Yep. Well, I actually seen yesterday that Liverpool and Spurs have scored more goals at Old Trafford than Man United have this season, and that's just hilarious to me. It's mental, but I don't know. Everyone thought when these new owners came in, it was all going to be sunshine and rainbows. But I just think, I know Ten Hag won the FA Cup in the summer, or in the summer, but I just think they should have got rid of him, because he's not good enough.
We'll come on to that.
You can't even say he doesn't have his team anymore, because most of them players
they're all his players. Staying with Spurs for a moment. Jamie Carragher wrote an article on Friday that Spurs have prioritized style over substance. And no matter what,
that's why you said that yesterday. I was confused.
Yeah, no matter what, when you play this Ange Postecoglou Spurs team, they're beatable and they're play all this pretty football, but it won't get them anywhere. Do you think those comments are unfair? Because this what they did yesterday, obviously the result, but the actual performance, the 1 and 2 touch passing, the movement, all in sync. The chances they created, they had a 5.4 xG. If Son's playing, I think it's probably 5 or 6.
If Timo Werner could shoot,
they go there and say that it wasn't easy. It looked easy, but it probably wasn't easy. That's what I'm trying to say. You think those comments were a bit harsh?
Aye, but Carragher's one of them. He loves to write up opposition fans as well. So it could be done a wee bit of tongue in cheek with him. You never know. But it's weird because Spurs are beatable. like just I'm gonna use if I was Liverpool yesterday, I like we wouldn't go there and get beat 3-0 by Spurs. I don't think. I think we would give you a tougher game. You know what I mean? I just think he's played well yesterday, but United were so bad at the same time, so it's hard to judge which end of the scale Spurs are
Uh,
really at.
Ange just claimed that they're far better defensively this season. They've only conceded the one set piece goal, and that was against Arsenal, who are scoring set pieces against everybody. So you could make that
Mhm.
argument for anyone.
Yeah.
And that the goals they have conceded have been down to individual lapses more than the actual style of play. Have they got better? Because yesterday there wasn't too many times on the counter attack where United really cut them open.
No, well, I know didn't Garnacho hit the post at one point,
Yeah.
and then Rashford got on a few times, but all in that there was no real trouble. I just think it was never a red card, but wouldn't have. I agree.
What's your thoughts, Danny, on this United? Not just Ten Hag, but where are we going to go if we get rid of Ten Hag? What's going to happen? Is it going to be more of the same? What needs to change at Man United? Because as much as people do think Ten Hag has to go, and he's been given enough time, what's going to happen with the next coach? So you can come back to me on that. Sorry, I won't go ahead.
Big Gareth Southgate's on the phone. I'm telling you.
Well, he's the hot favourite according to Sky Sports News.
That's what I'm telling you. Dan Ashworth loves him, so I'm telling you.
We'll come on to that in a wee minute. Because I want to bring Southgate into it. But finally, on Spurs, what do you think they can achieve this season? I'm just saying that he always won something. He says I usually won, and then he clarified it and says no, I always won something in my second season, and that is a fact. He has wherever he's been in a second season, he's always won silverware. Very different scale here. That's in the Premier League too. But like Man City coming up in a few weeks' time in the cup to keep their chances alive in that, which won't be easy. But what do you think they can achieve this season? Because I don't see them challenging the title. So is it going to be domestic cups and possibly the Europa League their best chance of making significant history? Because if they get under the top four, whilst it's great and whilst that will be an achievement, it's been done before by previous managers. The difference being that they haven't won a trophy. So, do you think Ange thinks they won something? They back up these comments, or do you think that it might not happen this year? It could happen in years to come.
What can Spurs achieve? You have to go for top four, and I would say at the minute I would put his favourites to win the Europa League.
Not always easy, but can you see?
I know that because
if Spurs finish top four this year, maybe even win a trophy, one of they are. Can you see that being a building block for success, like Klopp had with Liverpool? Arteta's on that trajectory as well. Can you see Ange being here for a while and Spurs maybe getting back to where they were under Pochettino, challenging and competing at the top end?
Depends if Daniel Levy wants to take out his checkbook and spend. It's the same. I think Spurs have to learn how to win it. I know, but then Ange always says if we're no matter what we're staying. So
he says we're going to play my way, and it's going to be a beautiful way.
I reckon Spurs could go down to 8 men against some team, and they'd still go gung ho and send Van de Ven and Romero up front. No, it's difficult to say because Spurs aren't the team who normally wins trophies, so they have to get that thing over the line to see what happens next.
I was looking at it yesterday and I'm thinking, how many players are they short? Maybe the goalkeeper's been flaky from crosses, but he's quite a good shot stopper.
Yeah.
I don't think the back four can get much better than what it is for Spurs. You think about the top centre backs out there, they're not going to come to Spurs. So realistically, Van de Ven's as good as you're going to get. You're not going to get anyone better than him. Romero.
I don't really rate Romero that highly, but he's decent for what he's decent.
Well, if he stops switching off, he'd be a good defender. Doggy, as you said, was brilliant yesterday. Pedro Porro's been excellent since he come on, under Ange especially. The midfield yesterday was as good as I've seen them play. With Bentancur on there, the technical number 6. Kulusevski's a man reborn in that role. With Madison at his best. Yeah. And then Johnson's on this red-hot form. Solanke started like a house on fire now since he came back from injury. And obviously Son's there. Obviously, we saw him getting older. He'll need replaced. Johnson might not be the answer, but, are they as far away as some people think they are?
It depends what you look. I think as much as your midfield is good, I agree with Darren. I think he's need same as Liverpool. I think he's need a top class specialist number 6, and then as he said, because Son's picking up injuries now, and he's getting older. So I think he's
He's
only
not the same
cover
strong people leader, is he?
for no, he's only cover for him or someone that can come in and replace him. But other than that, he's have a very talented squad. Like, and it's not even talented, but it's talented, but it's not just talented. It's a very young squad as well.
Yeah, I think the one and only comes with experience as well, and that's something that Spurs don't have a lot of at the moment. That'll be the
Sure,
test now for
it's sort
Spurs.
of
We've seen this before, a false dawn where they get a big result and then next game up they fall short. You know, next week's a big test. You know, going to Brighton,
yeah.
yes, they're going to be better than Man United, but they've had a big. You'd expect them to bounce back because that was awful what happened on Saturday to them. They could have
I was
conceded 10.
I was watching that, and we'll get on there. But at one point, I was texting you, Jordan. At one point, I thought it was going to be 6 each.
Yeah, it was a crazy game.
It was a mad
Coming
one.
back to Man United, we spoke about Ten Hag there. Are the walls closing on? You know, international break looming. Port. You know, I think whenever he's had to get a result, there's been a favourable fixture, like a Sheffield United, like a Luton.
Yeah,
But this is different. Porto took Arsenal very close to the knockouts last year. They went to a penalty shootout over 2 games. They're
yeah.
away in Porto, which will be difficult. And Villa have been flying. I know they had a bit of a stumble at the weekend, but they've had a very good start to the season. And they've got players like Watkins, Duran, Rogers who are in red hot form, and United's players are not anywhere near that at the moment. It's a
Like
big,
you're
it's a tough
saying,
week. It's a tough week anyway, even if you're
yeah,
playing well. But this is a really, really tough week now. The form United are on.
that's what I was going to come on. That you're saying, would any United players get into the Spurs team? Would they get into the Villa team at the minute?
And
And
that's
that
and that's
no
and that's where they're at.
disrespect, no disrespect to Villa. They're a top club and they deserve to be in the Champions League. But when it comes to, I don't think you'll see the end of this week, or not this week, next week, if the results go bad.
A lot of people think it is over after this week. Danny's saying that it's got to be Tuchel for me. Well, come on, the manager that possibly could come in. But do you think this week, 2 defeats, that will be it? They would pull the plug during the international break and Van Nistelrooy would come on, steady the ship? Because there's actually a lot of conspiracy theories that I've seen. I was listening to
That's why I was
Talk
going on.
today. Martin Keown thinks that Van Nistelrooy is just sitting back and waiting for this to happen. He's not really helping Ten Hag. He's there and he's waiting in the wings and he's like just sitting there and playing with his hands and like it's going to be very soon. I'm going to be in the hot seat and I'll do things my way.
A lot of
Like yes,
a lot of United fans, that I've talked to and ones online that I've listened to have said that it's strange that Van Nistelrooy would leave a manager's job to become an assistant. So there's obviously something going on there. I think I don't know what you think, but I think it can't be a coincidence that they brought him in.
yeah. If it is Van Nistelrooy, do you think it'll be short term or do you think it'll be the end of the season?
Depends how he does, because Ollie was brought on to the end of the season and they
Will he make
played.
that mistake again? But if Van Nistelrooy goes and wins 3 or 4 games, you know what will he do?
It's sort of a catch-22 situation. If he takes over and nothing improves, then you get a manager. But if he takes over and it improves, do you give him the job? So it's a tough one. It's a tough
How do
balance.
you see them doing them in those 2 games?
I think they'll beat Porto and lose the Villa. That's the way I see it.
Do you think that will be enough to give him another couple of weeks till the next international break?
I think so.
Obviously, a lot of people throwing their names, throwing their shouts under the ring here for a.
It seems to be every international break we're going right. Is it going to be sacked now, or is it going to be the next one?
Well, they survived a couple last year, but I think this time there's just less patience. I seen Goldbridge yesterday.
Yeah.
He's been one of his biggest supporters. He's even struggling to defend him now. But of course, everyone's having a say on who should be the next manager. But the name that's being linked the most is Gareth Southgate. And do you know what? People might laugh at Southgate, but I do think he's the type of character that they need. Somebody that can come in, steady the ship, get them back on the right track. I don't think he's a man that won them league titles or get them playing great football. But I do think what he did with England, galvanizing the squad, getting them all on the same hymn sheet, all the hassle the last generation hasn't been with this generation since Southgate's been on. He might not be a bad shout for this job because they do lack a leader, and Southgate certainly is a leader. He might not be a great coach, but he's a very good manager.
To be honest, if they appointed Southgate, I wouldn't stop laughing for about 3 weeks. Like I know he's decent, but I know he's decent at galvanizing squads, but he's got look at the squad he had with England. he should have won something. Yes, he got the finals, but he never got over the line. No,
But there's an argument that England have always had a strong squad, and managers before him that were
not
Champions
as
League
strong, not as
league
strong as they
winners
have
couldn't
now.
get. Well, he still had top players, and he couldn't get the managers before, like Capello, who was a star-studded manager. It doesn't work for Ericsson. It doesn't work for Steve McLaren. It didn't work for Roy Hodgson. All these managers with loads of experience. But Southgate was the one that got England back, and yes, he didn't win, but he was consistent in reaching the latter stages of tournaments, which haven't been done for a long, long time. So, as criticism of Southgate, unfair, should it be a laughable appointment, because, yes, I think he's the first, he's very honest as well, I think he's the first to say he isn't a tactician, he isn't that great, his teams aren't going to play star-studded football, but what he is good is man managing and getting people galvanized, and maybe that's what United need, even for just 18 months, 2 years, to set the foundations for the next manager to come on.
It's well the fans would accept that, because I've seen a few things where you're speaking about Goldbridge there. He was saying if they appoint Southgate, he's Southgate out from day one. So, but he's
Southgate will go down really badly with the fan base.
Some of them anyway. I don't know. Danny's English, hasn't he? I don't know what he would think.
I don't think he was a big supporter of Gareth Southgate. No. Danny, would Southgate be a name you would consider? He says Tuchel. Problem with Tuchel is this the right environment for Tuchel to go into, because it's already a mess and it's toxic. He brings that with him, so I'm not so sure he would be the man they fix United's problems.
Thomas Tuchel, as much as he's a good manager, he sort of adds gasoline to fire, doesn't he? When he takes over,
he's a bit like Conte, and his managerial stunts don't last that long, so he could be back in an RMS in a year's time.
I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he said he wants Nagelsmann to come in. If Ten Hag gets sacked,
they manage Liverpool, even Spurs at times. You need that personality. Like, I look at Ange, and I'm thinking Ange would be the perfect manager for Man United. Somebody the fans can connect with. Like, the Spurs fans adore him. Most of them do, because they can resonate with what he says. They like his style of play.
It was like us with Klopp.
With Klopp, do you know what I mean? And I do think you need that personality. Maybe with Southgate, at least there would be. I'm not saying they would love him, but at least there would be some sort of connection. That he's English, I'm not so sure bringing a Tuchel on helps United. Maybe short term, but definitely long term will be a bigger mess. Even Maydank.
No, 100%. Tuchel would just be a basket case. Bob Bradley, Jeebers, must be bad. He failed at Swansea, did he not, years ago?
The only problem with Tuchel is, could you not foresee an Or Mourinho, Conte, like when Mourinho was United, an Or Mourinho situation where he might come in, there might be a short upturn in results, but this time next year we'll be sitting saying the same thing, that they need a new coach.
Yep, they must have voted Pochettino.
Yeah, and there's a man on Monday Night Football tonight at 6:30, Graham Potter. Now, I'm not saying he's the answer, but he is a very good tactician, plays good football, but probably personality-wise, I'm not sure he's got that connection to get the United fans on side.
You're talking about Ten Hag. He's been on the job for 3 years, and I couldn't tell you what his style of play is. Slot's been on the job for 3-4 months.
He's quite delusional as well with some of the stuff that he's saying. I think that's what's annoying the United fans.
We're the best team after Man City for winning trophies. And what? He's finished 8th in the league, and he's finished bottom.
Any manager that has to refer to trophies they've won is a manager struggling. Mourinho did it at Spurs. Conte did it at Spurs. When they're making it all about themselves and what they've done, I think you're in big trouble. And I do think he's probably thinking that this is run this course. And honestly, I do think if Ten Hag get the sack tomorrow, it would be a relief that he would be out of it, because he looks lost. Jamie Redknapp says on Sky he thinks at the minute he's out of his depth. Not that he's a bad manager, but just the situation now has become so grave that he can't fix it. I mean, there was a situation in the game yesterday where they get a red card and he decides to bring Mason Mount on, and then there's a break at halftime, and then he brings Casemiro on, takes an attacker off. That was like a rabbit in the headlights. I didn't understand that. It would have made more sense just bringing Casemiro on. Instead, he swaps 2 players around, and it just looked like it was disorganized. I don't know if he can help anymore.
Gary Neville said it's like something you wouldn't even see it in an under 10s game. Some of the stuff he was doing.
Like a broken man.
Obviously.
I suppose he does. And does refer to what he's won as well at previous clubs. But I think it's in a different context. I think that's more they say he's putting pressure on himself. He's not really. Like he's a manager that has always taken responsibility when Spurs get beat. He doesn't really blame. He says it's my fault. That's the way we play.
I think too with Ten Hag. Obviously, he can speak English, right? But some of his interviews, I think there's a lack of connection there. I think there's a lack of.
Can you imagine Ten Hag inspiring a dressing room? Because I don't really get that sort of sense that he would.
No, he seems to be a man to me that would put me to sleep listening to him, the way he talks.
So who's going to be the next man permanently in the United hot seat, do you think?
Permanently, you know what? I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna say Gareth Southgate.
I think you could be right. I have a feeling that Van Nistelrooy could come on for short term. Well, Southgate could be going on in the background. Southgate's not on a job, so he's easy got. Van Nistelrooy might come on for a couple of games to steady the ship before Southgate comes on. But that's the issue. If he starts well and 3-1s and then Southgate comes on to lose the first game, it's going to be chaos.
I would just love it to see the meltdown for Man United fans. Like it would just be funny. But like
I do think Southgate could fix them. They kind of get them back on the right path. I don't think they'll be a top 4 team, but I do think there has to be some sort of strategy, because whoever comes on now is going to be left with all Ten Hag's rubbish, all these players, all his friends, and this is what I can't understand. All these players, he's
happened too. There was Mourinho came on. He said he wanted to get rid of 5 or 6 players. When Moyes came on, he wanted rid. When Ten Hag came on,
players are failing him. The Anthony's, the Lutz just looks like an hour player that's just not going to work out.
I said that when he was signed. I said when the Lut was signed in the summer, I just thought I don't see.
I can't understand the Xerxes signing. He's not a centre forward for me, and I just don't think he's what United need.
No, they already have. They already have a young striker like Højlund, so I think they should have went and got like an Ivan Toney, someone with experience.
I think so. He would have done a great job, Paul.
Yeah,
a bully, somebody up front that can bully a defence. He bullied the United centre backs yesterday. Like that was the worst game I've seen Martinez have.
No, it was bad. I'm just happy in the knowledge knowing that Liverpool have the best Dutch coach in the Premier League.
Let's come on to Liverpool, because we're going to look back at the rest of the weekend's results. Liverpool, say scripted one, but it was comfortable. But I didn't
really see the game, to be honest. But I seen the first half of it, and then we were very poor in the first half, but Wolves didn't really threaten that much. I think that's Wolves' problem.
One ugly, something in Spurs need to learn to be. Final thoughts. Only good signing Martinez has been, and he's not liable of injuries. Yeah, totally agree. So Liverpool is kind of, what's the word? Second gear, maybe they won the game. Wolves didn't have much about them, but in saying that, we'd all be saying it was a terrible performance if Wolves had a script the last minute equaliser. Liverpool didn't do enough in the game.
No, I watched obviously I was out when the game was on, so I just seen the first half, but I watched the highlights back, because when I checked the score, it was 1-1. So I checked what the goal was like, and I was like, I don't have a clue.
You must have checked at the right time, because I think it was sooner 1-1. It was 2-1. It was a penalty.
I checked it was 1-1, and it was 2-1. I was like, all right then. But I don't know what we were doing with that goal we conceded, but to be honest,
they had quite a good game too. It probably cost them his man of the match award that he wanted so bad.
Gravenberch got it then, didn't he?
Yeah, we'll speak about him in a second, but Callum says forget about the table until the end of January, keep winning every week. Would that be the message from you, from Liverpool fans, that don't be getting caught up at the league table at the minute, just keep winning games and see where it takes us come Christmas, New Year, and then we'll see about a challenge?
I know I've been posting, we're top, haha, we're but like it doesn't, nobody's going to remember who's top in the 30th of September. It's all about who's top at the end of May when the season ends.
Yeah, of course, Spurs were top in November last year. We know how that ended. Gary Neville says on his podcast yesterday that when he was watching Liverpool on Saturday, he didn't get that feel that this is a team that can challenge, not even won the league, that can challenge.
Gary Neville has I don't want to say a non-PG thing here, but Gary Neville, let's just say, is a very, very good loving of Arsenal. I'll put it that way.
Well, what do you think about that? I mean, is it too early to say that they can't challenge, or he didn't say they couldn't. It wasn't like he says, I don't think they'll win. He says, I don't even think they will challenge. He sees it as a 2-team race, and it being quite clear gap the teams below. Do you put Liverpool in that bracket of Arsenal and Man City that they can challenge?
I think we can challenge. it's all about keeping our players fit for me.
What's your thoughts so far on the style of play? Because obviously we've had 6 Premier League games now. I think Liverpool are going to have bigger tests. They haven't played
No, we
top
will.
top teams as of yet.
I think
Um,
our next games actually, well, we have Bologna on Wednesday, and then we have Palace away, and then
they've
after
Arsenal
that,
coming up with me.
Chelsea and Arsenal back to back.
Well, that's gonna be the big test. But I mean,
Yep.
what do you think so far of the style of play? Because I have to be honest, right? And yes, you should want matches, but I'm not enjoying watching this Liverpool team that I used to enjoy. I was no Liverpool lover, but I couldn't lie to myself and say it was great to watch. They were brilliant. They were on the front foot. Like I thought that was quite lethargic on Saturday. There was no real urgency. I'm not sure it suits the players like Sally. Sal looked rusty at times because he wasn't getting under the right. And then when he did get the opportunities, you seen the one he was clean through and he messed it up with a pass. Whereas I
Yeah.
think under Klopp, he was getting that situation a lot in games.
I
And the
just,
Wolves were so poor that I mean I expected Liverpool to blow them away because Wolves
yeah.
were really really poor. Like Gary Neville was cracking up because of he kept passing right in the back and going nowhere, and they never really looked like they could score a goal. So I expected Liverpool. They really once the first goal went on, second half I thought they would take the game away from Wolves, and it didn't. They never really had a spell in the game where they looked like they were going to do that. Score two, three, four. So
No.
what's your thoughts on that so far?
I think it's very reserved as you say, but I think once we get into the final third, Neville said Neville said Gary Neville said that United have a better midfield than Liverpool's as well. So how's that going? Um, I think once we get into the final third, we sort of quicken things up. And Slot did say he's not going to be a club. He's not. It's not going to be like NBA end games most of the time. But to be honest, as long as we keep winning, I'm happy enough with it. But whether then the results turn and then fans be like right, bring it up a notch. But I don't see any problems with it at the moment. Like you're saying Salah's not being as effective as he is. But then on the other side of it, Diaz has had a great start this season.
Yeah,
So
obviously he had
it's
that
swings
one
and
brilliant game against Man United, but Liverpool looked like a proper. And I do think when Salah's not at his best, Liverpool are nowhere near it because yes, Diaz has been doing well, but when Salah's linking up the play and there's players running on behind, he's usually the architect. And he was poor against Forest, and they
yeah.
and they lost, and they were poor at the weekend. And I have to say, Wolves and there wasn't much in the game. It was Liverpool were yes they won it, but if it had a finished the draw, you couldn't argue that Liverpool deserved to win
Yeah.
it. It was a
There's
very very dead game.
there's
And
one player
Liverpool
there's
got the
one
winner with a
player
penalty.
there's one player that's frustrated me this season so far, and it's Sabitzer. He's been
I
very
want to
very
talk about him. He's a Liverpool fan saying that they've not seen enough. They suggest that he's going to be this player that everyone talked about.
no, it's in the early, and he has the ability. Slot even said himself he wants more goals and assists out of him, and then funnily enough he scored against Milan. But I think, to be honest, for me so far this season, I don't know if Callum, who's a Liverpool fan, Darren, Mark, for me Liverpool's best player this season has been Gravenberch
Yeah, we'll
so
talk
far.
about him and now because boys, make sure fire your comments on there's plenty of watching there. What do you think of this slot style of play? How it's going? How you see it playing out? Don't be afraid to get
And
involved.
obviously
Gravenberch,
we have bigger tests to come. So once we play the Spurses, the Cities, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Brightons, even the Villas, we'll know a lot more.
Gravenberch, man of the match on Saturday. Liverpool fans have been impressed with him. But is it down to more the fact that he had such a low base? People didn't expect anything from him. Is that why he's getting so much praise? Because from what I've seen, he's done well. But for me, their best midfield player by Miles McAllister. I thought he's been excellent so
Oh no,
far. He
like
always looks to play forward. He links to the play. He's a very talented player, and I think Liverpool, they'll do well to get a better player than McAllister. I think he's very, very good, and for the money they paid, he would get into any team in the Premier League, in my opinion.
no, I love McAllister. I just think you're right. Nobody really expected this from Gravenberch this season, especially because there was so much talk about um what do you call him? What's his name again? Zubamendi.
Uh,
For Zubamendi coming in, but I
Yeah, he
think
says he would really bring Jones on, and he says he actually liked that. Darren saying he likes the style of play. It's more controlled. Callum
I
saying
think
Szoboszlai been frustrating. Bring Jones on. Interesting.
I think I think Elliot got injured at the wrong time because I think if Elliot was fit, I think he'd be getting a good run with him.
Gives him more balance with the left foot too, and he did play
Yeah.
very good in pre-season. He was like one of the main players, wasn't he, from the pre-season tour? But
I
it'd be
really like
interesting.
that.
It'd be interesting to see when the weeks go on, because from what I've seen on Saturday, Liverpool are going to have to improve. They beat Arsenal and Chelsea.
I think we're at home to Chelsea. I know Chelsea are doing well, but Brighton had Brighton had their fair share of chances as well against them. So
How
I
do you
think
see them games going? Maybe the Arsenal one will be different because you are going away from home and you're playing a team that are arguably maybe better than you at the moment, in terms of where they're at. But Chelsea, for example, at home, do you expect Liverpool to go on the front foot at home to Chelsea? Or do you expect it to be very reserved and maybe even let Chelsea have more of the ball? How do you see that going?
I think the Chelsea game. I expect us they won it, but I think it'll be tight.
But how do
I
you
think
see them approaching the game? Do you think it'll be like
oh
the usual when they play at home, or do you think it'll be very different? Because when I watched the Forest game, I know they did beat Bournemouth quite convincingly. Bournemouth had a couple of chances, but Liverpool against teams at home usually in the first 15 minutes come roaring out of the traps. And he didn't do that
yeah.
against Forest. Even the Brentford game, I didn't think second half, I think they were better in the Brentford game at home. It'll be interesting to see, because I almost think when you go to Anfield, you always think about getting through the first 15, 20 minutes unscathed and build your way
Yeah.
into the game. But does this style maybe allow teams that opportunity that Liverpool at the minute, they aren't flying out of the traps in games?
No, as you said, in the early games, this season, it seems to be second half performances where we really try and, apart from Saturday, I think we weren't well. We weren't playing well, and then Nottingham Forest, we didn't play well in the entire game. But most games I've watched this season, um, the second half is where we really go for it. But
To be
you
fair, he's
can't
battered in Milan too. He's played well in
al-
Milan. He's played very well there.
you can't always rely on your second half performances because in one of the games, say we're playing Man City or even Spurs, what happens if you're 3-0 down at halftime? So,
Mm.
but I think the Palace game, I'm talking Premier League, the Palace game away, I think it's always a tricky one, half 12, but I think these
Jeez,
next.
half 12. So is that what the tricky part is? Not going to Palace. It's half 12. It's the tricky part.
That's one day Palace trick. To be fair, this is on our second half 12. Um, no, I don't mind half 12s if they're not after international breaks. But I think after the break game when we have Chelsea at home and Arsenal away, those are the two games. Not to disrespect Palace, but those are the two games that have me eye on.
Mm. I'm surprised at Chelsea at the minute how well they're doing. I really didn't see that coming. I think
Yeah,
Chelsea's going to be a real test for them, because at the minute the
yeah.
firepower they have, and there's Palmer's banging goals and Jackson scoring goals, and Sancho looks like he could make an impact there, and
Then
Casemiro looks like he gets better.
you were talking about Arsenal there being better than us. They probably are, but I think we have more firepower than Arsenal. They have a better
Mm.
defense. We have more firepower.
Let's talk about Arsenal, because they left it very late. They beat Leicester. I was watching this game on Premier Sports, and I couldn't believe it was unfolding. Arsenal were completely dominating. Half time, get the second goal right before I thought they'll beat these 4-5. They
I
come out a bit
the
lethargic, but like the Spurs Leicester game a few weeks ago. The only difference was Arsenal had only won this one, but they allowed Leicester back on it 2-2. And then, of course, it was wave after wave, save after save, and it looked like Leicester were going to hold out. But you know what? I always got the feeling, and I
yeah.
hate saying it, but Arsenal are starting to look like they're, but like they reminded me on Saturday of a United in the old days where you just kind of knew they were going to score. And
Fergie time and all that.
and that's damning. And the more set pieces they got, you just knew something was going to happen. And it was a bit fortunate how it went done. But these set pieces at the moment are causing teams havoc. It's not just they've been doing it to everybody.
Aye, whoever their set piece coach has, he needs a good raise. He needs a good pay packet because when Arsenal get up a corner, it's like a team getting a penalty, isn't it? It sort of feels like at the minute.
Arsenal have playing the ball. That'll be interesting to see the styles of play. Callum confident beating Chelsea. Sorry, go ahead, but Arsenal.
That's what I'm saying. Like when Arsenal get a corner or a free kick from a wide area, you think, right, this is like a penalty here. Like they're going to get. They're either going to get.
Gabriel's a monster, absolute monster.
He's one of the.
I think players are feared of him because he's up by Gora and he's attacking the headers. He's not afraid to get hurt. I think he's just going to. The players get feared of getting flattened completely. But
with the Van Dijk get them.
And only for the goalkeeper. I mean, it would have been 7 or 8. I mean, Arsenal. I mean, I think they had 5 next year as well.
I've seen the highlights. The Leicester goalkeeper made about 7 or 8 saves, didn't he?
Yeah, I think they had 16 shots on target, Arsenal, which was
But
pretty.
Arsenal, I agree with you. Like I was sitting watching it when I went to 2-2, and I said I had the same feeling. I was like, no, they're going to score here. They're going to get the third goal, and obviously they got a fourth goal. But you just knew it was coming. And it's for you as a Spurs fan. For me, I don't really mind, but for you as a Spurs fan, you're probably thinking, I don't know about this.
I have a bad feeling. More so than I have in recent seasons. I mean, are they the new favourites with Rodri's injury? As this their time? Are they looking like a better team than Man City all round defensively? They can score goals. Scored 4 at the weekend. I know they haven't got loads and loads of firepower, but organisation, fear, even I'm looking at it now, and I think teams will see Man City without Rodri as an easier game, and we can maybe get something. I'm not
Yeah.
sure how many teams fancy going to Arsenal at the moment with his set piece and their ability to hurt you from all areas of the pitch.
Do you think Arsenal will do an invincible season?
They're going to be tough to beat, but I'm looking at it thinking who can beat them, who's going to go there, and who you know what I mean. It's especially at the Emirates. I'm looking at it and thinking it could be a fluke result that does them. Almost at the weekend there was like a bit of a fluke, but I mean I think they'll be confident against anybody. I mean they went to Spurs, and they were able to stop. The only game this year Spurs haven't created chances on really was that Arsenal game. I know Arsenal didn't create much either, and they were beat by a set piece. It was an even enough game. But they stopped Spurs completely. They neutralised them. And we seen it last year at the Emirates. They neutralised Liverpool and in the Emirates game. Liverpool, I think they one shot, didn't they, in the first half with them one each.
Gabriel actually scored an own goal that game.
Yeah. If I remember. So they're capable of stopping teams as attacking players.
It's they're a very difficult team. Like we spoke about it with Old Trafford not having the fear factor. I think the Emirates does for teams now.
And they're a nasty team as well. They're a nasty bunch.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I was an Arsenal fan, I would admire that. I would love it. And the fact that other teams now despise them, not just Spurs fans, I think that's always a good sign.
As Darren said, one ugly, and Arsenal definitely know how to win ugly and waste time. But I just think they'll come unstuck somewhere. Something will not go their way at some point.
Because they're managing well enough without these injuries at the moment. Of course, Man City were in the half-12 game at the weekend, and they played Newcastle and were held to a 1-1 draw. And you have to say it was a fair result, And again, a bit like the Man City game, or the Arsenal game, it was the opposite here. I didn't see Man City score a second goal. I just never felt at any point in the game they were going to do it.
If anything, I saw Newcastle nicking it.
Well, that's it then on the break. And Howard and Haaland, where's the goals coming from for Man City at the moment? Because Foden's not playing for some strange reason. And Dockie's not going to be a goal scorer. Savinho looks tidy, but he's not a proven goal scorer. Bernardo Silva, Gundogan can chip in, but I'm looking at it and thinking if anything happens, Haaland, I know they've managed before with a striker. I'm struggling to see at the moment where these goals are coming from.
It shows you that we'll speak about him in a wee while, but are they regretting letting go of Cole Palmer now and then Alvarez too?
We'll speak about Palmer soon, and obviously Alvarez left as well.
So I do agree. Like I'm not going to say if Haaland got injured, they'd fall off a cliff. Like they'd still be comfortably first or second, or at least probably. But I do agree if Haaland was to pick up a 6-7 game injury, like I do think they'd struggle to get goals.
I have to be honest. This is Man City at the start of the season, but I've changed my mind. I think Arsenal will win it. I'll be shocked if they won now. I think City are vulnerable without Rodri, and I think Arsenal are just an all-round at the minute. They're a better team.
Do you still think
they're not as good to watch, but they're an all-round better team?
Do you think Liverpool can sneak in the second above City?
Not sure. Depends where City are at. If City fall off a cliff, and they might not really care about finishing second or third or
Many points do you think they'll need? They won the league, Arsenal.
Not as much as previous seasons. I don't think they'll need as much this year.
I think I'm saying like 85.
I think they could get the 90. Like I think they could get the 90, no problem.
But I think if you get 85, 86, I think
I could win it this year.
I
would also like to see a Liverpool or another team emerge from the pack and not just be Arsenal and Man City. I think there's a
see if there is a goal out there. See if somehow, some way Arne Slot won the league in his first season. You'd never hear the end of it.
Jamie says City don't start great. We'll get stronger as the season goes on. Of course they do.
I'm just worried.
Jamie Furry's way out. De Bruyne way out. Rodri. I'm not sure they're as strong as these were.
But sure, Roger will be back for when they're playing Aldershot in the National League, so he'll be all right.
There'll be no tears. There'll be no tears for me if they get charged.
No. Oh, there'll be tears, all right, of joy.
Uh, Martin saying Chelsea are dark horses, serious squad depth. Let's talk about Chelsea because they've had a fantastic start to the season. It was all doom and gloom after Man City beat them the opening day, but they've bounced back and they're scoring goals for fun. 6 against Wolves, 4 at the weekend, 3 against West Ham. Jackson's found his form. Cole Palmer's turning into an unbelievable player. Is he at the moment the best attacker in the Premier League? Does he get into every team? Even over Saka, even over Salah? Is he the best in that position at the moment?
You would have to say so, wouldn't you? He's just a star, isn't he? I know everyone was saying last season, oh, he scored 75 penalties, but he's unbelievable. Like I don't like him personally because I think
Why?
there's something about him.
I like that arrogance.
There's you have to be humble too at times. There's something about him I just can't take.
Yeah, Jamie, I know you're watching. I know you said to me last year you said he won't regret selling Palmer no matter what he does, but are you starting to think that that's a mistake selling him? I know he got good money, 45 million.
But if Chelsea I oversaw by him.
But at the moment, Callum, you have to say that Palmer is an informed player. I'm not saying overall he's a better player, but at the moment, Cole Palmer is. I mean, anybody scoring 4 in a game, and I seen something. He's played 53 games for Chelsea and been involved in 50 goals. So he's nearly averaging a goal or an assist a game.
He's a star. Like it begs the question: why didn't he get any minutes at the Euros?
Well, I think so. I've got fancy Saka, doesn't he? So can they play in the same team? Does Palmer have to play as a 10? You know what I mean? Kane's going to play as a striker. Where do you put him on?
I'm going to make a statement. I think Saka's slightly overrated. I know he's very good, but I think he's not world class as people make him to be. In my opinion,
Palmer's got more scope.
I do. Yeah. I'm not just saying that they wind Arsenal fans up, but I do. I love Cole Palmer as a player. Just that arrogance. I can't. No, I can't take them.
What a free kick! I think when you're banging free kicks on the guy, as arrogant as you want.
It's the way he talks in interviews. Like he gets asked questions and he's just like, nah.
He's 2 more goals on us. That's starting with last season. What we're chatting with. I mean, he banged on how many last year? Over 20 in the league anyway.
I think just say if Palmer was at Liverpool, say I think he would get into our team, but I don't know where we would play him.
Chelsea then, dark horses. Martin saying, what do you think about that
for the league?
Yeah,
not a chance. Not a chance.
No chance.
No, they as much as they have good firepower and all there, they can't defend.
Yeah, they give away a couple of criminal goals, don't they? If they do that at Anfield, like it's going to be a long way back. I'm looking forward to that game. I think that's going to be a really, really good game. That Liverpool-Chelsea game in a few weeks now.
I think it's a 5:30 kickoff as well Saturday night.
It was moved to 4:30 on Sunday. Sunday to be Champions League. So it was originally 5:30. So Sunday 4:30. Perfect time to watch a game.
I think the Arsenal game is on a Sunday at 4:30 as well.
Palmer is in form, but by all accounts, his attitude is going to be Achilles heel. He wouldn't have had that success at Man City. He wouldn't be hitting the penalties. He wouldn't get the freedom to find pockets of space. Has as much chance of being an Dele Alli. So a difference of opinion from Jamie there. They could get 4th. Keeper is terrible. Are they the favourites for 4th over Villa, over Spurs? Have we seen enough?
No, again with Chelsea. Yes, they've played Man City, but all or not, they haven't played anyone, and everyone was the same with Liverpool. It's like you expect Chelsea to lose to Man City, and you expect them to beat the teams that they have beat. Maybe Brighton.
I sent Derek Yarrow over Saka and Salah, but Palmer is in great form. I have to ask these questions.
No, but scoring 4 goals in the game, I think I seen he's the first player to do that in the first half of a game.
Yeah, 4 goals in the first half, incredible. And he could have had 6. He hit the post and he must have horrible.
That's what he said. He said in his interview after I should have had 6 or 7.
Worrying for Brighton, how they were unravelled on Saturday. Everton got their first one of the season to ease the pressure on Dyche. Of course, There's a lot of rumours that the owners want to go a different direction. And I always think when new owners come in, the current manager is always under serious pressure no matter what.
I still, even though they got the one against Palace, I still think the writing's on the wall for Dyche.
Well, I heard they were battered in the first half. They could have been out of sight because of the Palace. So a bit like when
I
Everton were unlucky, they were 2 up and should have finished the games off. It's kind of reversed this weekend, where they were probably fortunate they won this game.
I watched no way Sky have all the highlights as well, and then you watch match all day. I watched the first the highlights, and Palace did have a good few chances. They put the game to bed, but I'm not saying Palace are going to be in a relegation battle this season, but they haven't started the best, have they? Under Glasner
Mm. Well, I'm hearing he's
and
under pressure already, which is
yeah.
madness compared to what they did last year. I think
Are
they
they
give him
going?
time.
Are they going to wheel Roy? Are they going to wheel Roy back out of his hospital bed?
That's it. Steady the ship, as they say.
But
Elsewhere in
in
the
terms
Premier
of
League.
Everton, I'm sorry, I was going
Sorry,
to
go
say
ahead.
in terms of Everton, I still think they'll go a different direction. They Sean Dyche.
Elsewhere in the Premier League this weekend, Ipswich drew 2-2 by Aston Villa. I watched the second half of this game actually.
Yeah, so do
Ipswich were really good value for their draw. Now it was a fair result, and if anything, they looked the more likely to go and win it.
I said on Saturday when we were doing this, I think if any of the promoted teams are going to stay up, it's going to be Ipswich because they
Is
look.
Liam Delap going to be the next goal bomber? He's come from Man City as well.
He took his 2 goals very well. I like the
Great
second
finisher.
one. The second one in particular for me was I forget who was he. I think it was it Conte skinned or was it Carlos? It was one of them.
Yeah, don't forget about Brennan Johnson. He's been on form too, Danny.
Cam, you down?
Elsewhere as well, we had Forest were finally beaten, a 1-0 defeat by Fulham. And Fulham, who can't win away, have got an away one. And that's a really good result going to Forest and getting 3 points. And Fulham at the minute are almost, we always say there's a surprise package or a team that maybe is performing above expectations, and the recruitment at Fulham has been excellent so far.
And we were all thinking in the summer when they lost João Palhinha that it was going to go downhill. But Marco Silva, I know he had a bumpy ride at Everton, but he seems to have found a good home at Fulham, and they seem to, and some of his signings this summer have been very decent, and likes of Smith Rowe and Nelson.
Yeah,
So
and sorry, go ahead.
Fulham are going to I think Fulham are going to, as I said on Saturday, I think Fulham will finish between, I would say, 12th to 10th sort of range.
Well, I think that's probably where they are, but I think if they exceed expectations, they would need to be pushing for that Conference League spot.
Yeah, well, Brighton did it a few years ago with the Europa League, so team, and I expected we'll get on to them probably, but I expected West Ham to be a good side this season. And
yeah,
God,
that's the final game we haven't mentioned. Brentford, of course, done an early goal 30 seconds into the game. Have you ever seen anything like that? 3 goals in the first minute of a game and 3 back-to-back weeks, and
no, it was
this time they got something they take away from the game.
It was 1 minute against Man City. It was like 30 seconds against Spurs, wasn't it?
No, I think it was 31 seconds against Man City, 27 against Spurs, and 38 or something, or 39 seconds the weekend. So all goals within the first sort of 40 seconds.
Hopefully, when teams are playing Brentford now, they'll be right from the kickoff.
I mean, you can say there's an element of luck involved, but they're very good goals they're scoring. It's obviously a tactic that they're working on to catch teams goals at the very start.
Maybe they start games that quick. They don't know how to finish them.
Well, I think at the minute that's all they have because they're really struggling. I think Brentford are, as soon as they were my top to go down, and I'm not changing that. I think they're going to be in a real battle.
I said Wolves. I said Wolves for me, and I'm not wavering.
Wolves are struggling, but I've seen enough on Saturday to think if they can get a bit more clinical, a bit more of a cutting edge, they'll be okay because their general play at times was okay.
No, I really like the 2 midfielders from Wolves, João Gomez and Andre.
I love Gomez. Gomez quality. He's going to be He's going to be on the move next summer, 100%. And that's the worry for Wolves that they're losing all these players. It's going to happen at some stage. They're going to go down.
Liverpool and Spurs need a number 6, so maybe we will be fighting for him in the summer.
Yeah. And before we come off, of course, Monday Night Football's just started there with Graham Potter joining Jamie Carragher. So big interesting to hear what he says. Let's have a quick look at the midweek games in Europe. Let's start on Tuesday night. We'll do quick fire predictions for these all. We've got Arsenal against PSG. Arsenal, of course, will be heavy favourites. But it'll be interesting to see PSG now without Mbappe to see how they are.
I seen today too. Dembele's out for disciplinary reasons, so we'll not be playing. So I don't know who.
That might actually help PSG. He's a bit of a wild player, isn't he?
I'm not going to say I don't watch the French league to be honest, so I don't know much about PSG. So I'm going to say 2-0 Arsenal.
Borussia Dortmund and Celtic. That's going to be some atmosphere at Dortmund. Two big
Uh,
fan bases. I'll be quite. I might actually watch a bit of that because that'll be
uh,
an interesting game.
I'm gonna
Celtic, of course,
go.
absolutely flying at the month. Scored 6 at the weekend. Of course, this is a different level, but they got off to a great start, beating Slovan Bratislava 5-1.
I think Dortmund might be just a wee bit of a step up, so I'm gonna go 3-1 to Borussia Dortmund.
Slovan Bratislava, who were absolutely destroyed by Celtic, host Man City. I can only see one outcome there.
I'll go 6-0 Man City.
That shouldn't be after my Champions League, should it? Moving on to Wednesday, Aston Villa take on Bayern Munich. This is a game everyone's looking forward to. Harry Kane is in a race to get fit. But
What
Bayern
time?
Munich are a different team this year, and definitely a better team under their company.
What time's that kick off at?
Same time as your game.
Ah, damn.
Harry Kane always seems to score when he's in England, regardless of who he's playing for.
I might stick the Villa game on my phone in the background. Villa. You know what? I'm gonna put my neck on the line. I'm gonna say 2-2. I think that'll be a feisty game.
Incredible atmosphere there, but I do think Bayern Munich were too strong. Liverpool against Bologna, who exceeded expectations last year, getting into the Champions League. Of course, lost their manager, didn't they, to Juventus, Thiago Motta. So it'll be difficult for them going to Anfield, I think.
I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Liverpool one.
Moving on to Thursday, Ferencváros from Budapest, where I was last week, are hosting Spurs, believe it or not. So I mean,
you picked the wrong week to go to Budapest.
If I hadn't booked this, I would have been booking it this week to go and watch the game when I'm out there. But
you can blame Emily for that one.
Ferencváros, Hungarian champions, top of their league, won 6 games out of 6 so far this season, but they did lose away to Anderlecht in the last game in the Europa League. And I think they're going to struggle at this level against Spurs.
I'll go 3-0 Spurs.
Porto Man United, of course, is going to be a big game on Thursday night for Man United fans.
I said United will win, so I'm going to go 2-1, but I think it'll either end 1. I think it'll end 1-1 or 2-1 to United, but it'll be very tight.
I can't see anything more than United getting beat. I'll be totally honest with you. There's no evidence to suggest they're going to go there and win. I just can't see it. Rangers take on Lyon. Rangers, of course, got a great start, beating Malmo last time out, but their league form hasn't been great, and there's a lot of talk about their performances. So this will be a huge test at home to Lyon.
Apparently, well, I don't watch Scottish football, but apparently it's Aberdeen's up there with Celtic.
They're 6 out of 6 as well.
Who Lyon and Rangers? I'll go 2-0 Lyon.
And then, Conference League, there's actually a lot of teams from UK and Ireland in this. Let's start off with, I'm not even going to bother with Hearts. Molde take on Larne. Of course, Larne's first big outing in the Champions League as they go to, I think that's Norway, is it, Molde?
No, Sweden.
Was it Sweden?
Scandinavia.
Isn't that where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was?
And Ibrahimovic.
I could be wrong.
Could be Norway, sorry. Could be Norway.
Molde seen as huge favourites here for this game.
Was Norway, because that's where Haaland was.
I think for Norway, it's just about the reputation, the experience. If they can get points, it'll be a bonus. Of course, they do play Shamrock Rovers, I think, in the second game next week.
It's good revenue for the club, for them. So I'm going to go Molde 3-0.
Some of these fixtures, dear God. Chelsea
play Shamrock Rovers, don't they?
I think it's in the final game. Chelsea take on Ghent from Belgium. Again, you'd fancy Chelsea at home, wouldn't you?
I'll go 3-0 Chelsea.
TNS from Wales take on Fiorentina in a huge clash. Of course, I think Rory Holden and Josh Daniels play for TNS from Derry, of course. From Derry, so they're playing for TNS. The New Saints, as they're known as. But Fiorentina, heavy favourites, and it will be a real shock if they didn't beat the New Saints.
I'll go 5-0 Fiorentina.
Funny enough, Shamrock Rovers actually play Larne and the New Saints, so there's going to be some.
Speaking of Derry, aren't Shelburne playing tonight?
I think they're kicking off at 7:15, so they want to keep an eye on Shelburne against St. Pat's. St. Pat's in red hot form, so it won't be easy. And Derry fans will definitely have Stephen Kenny tops on tonight. And finally, Shamrock Rovers take on Apoel Nicosia. I think they might be from Cyprus, are they?
I think it is Cyprus. I'm gonna go. I know nothing about them, and I've watched Rovers, but I'll just go 1-1.
Some of these games are already called. I mean, I'm just glad we're not in that Conference League. I think it used to be the Europa League was the dreaded one you run now. It's a Conference League. It makes the Europa League seem so much better. Although that team Spurs played last week were dreadful.
If Liverpool qualified for the Conference League, I don't even think I'd watch it.
I mean, if Chelsea have got a big. I mean, Fiorentina were beating the last two finals, but Chelsea are strong favourites for that. Sure.
No disrespect, West Ham won it, so come on, Chelsea can win it.
Owen, thanks for coming on. It's been a brilliant podcast. Lots discussed, and we're going to be back closer to the weekend to preview the final round of games before the dreaded international break, where you have to turn on the TV and watch Ireland stink up outside again.
Who are we playing in this international break?
I think it's Greece and Finland we have this time.
We'll probably
I think it's Greece again. So we have to play Greece or fitness everywhere we go.
We'll probably lose to Finland as well.
Well, if we lose them too, I don't know. I can't see us winning a game. Jamie, it's a great show. Thanks for watching, Jamie. Thanks for all the viewers for taking part. Jamie, we'll have to get you on again for Man City chat.
I must say to Jamie, if you're still watching, tell Arena says hello.
There you go. Darren sent Super Show. Thanks very much, Darren. If you're new around here and this is your first time watching, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content. We'll be back ahead of the weekend. I'm not sure what the big clashes are this week. I know Brighton's taking on Spurs at 4:30 on Sunday.
Villa United.
Villa Man United. They're the 2:00 game. So Villa Man United will be the big one.
Saturday at 12:30 is Palace Liverpool. I don't know what the 5:30 game is.
5:30 Everton Newcastle. So you'd say it's a decent Super Sunday. It should be two good games. Villa Man United, Brighton Spurs. You'd imagine there'll be goals in those two.
You would like to think so. I'm not going. It's all, and then hopefully, is this the last international break or does Ronaldo
in November?
Gee, God, just why do you need 3?
As well, some news when we were on there. Just the Carabao Cup 4th round schedule has been confirmed there. So Wednesday, 30th October, Brighton take on Liverpool at 7:30, and Spurs take on Man City on the same night at 8:15, both live on Sky. So that'll be interesting.
Nice wee precursor to Halloween.
So Jamie, maybe we'll get you on for that Spurs Man City game in the League Cup, where Man City are definitely not going to go in the League Cup this year when they go out to Spurs.
We're defending our trophy.
Oh, Pep keeps his word. Pep says he's playing the reserves, so hope he keeps his word.
I said but on Saturday, Man City's reserves could be Jack Grealish and all.
Well, Owen, thanks for coming on. If you're new around here, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. We'll see you towards the end of the week. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a good one.